Well, good morning. And I want to start by, on behalf of Leon and Jackie and their families, welcoming you here this morning. They are so grateful that you are here with them. Your presence here today is a gift, but even more so, your presence in their lives, your friendship and your support, the encouragement you have offered both them and their families during the difficulty of this time is so appreciated. And some of you may or may not. I love when we get to see pictures, right? You get to reconnect with memories. Anyone know where that last picture was? Anyone? Some of us may be familiar with the First Street Ale House. It's just a great reminder that this is not an occasion. They are so grateful you're here, but none of us are really happy to be here for this reason. When we woke up this morning, nobody is thrilled to see this scheduled on their calendar. But as much as this is not the occasion that we wanted to bring us together, it is a reason to celebrate. And so we hope that today will be filled with, no doubt, a wide range of emotions. We will no doubt feel a deep sadness and grief as we revisit our loss and Sandy's death. There is this inevitable sadness that we experience when we gather on a day like today. But there's also joy. And there's also celebrations, much like that picture likely experienced when you're at the ale house, where you just feel a sense of gratitude that if there's only one thing all of us have in common, it's that our lives intersected Sandy's life. And somehow in that we find a great reminder of gratitude for how we are blessed that Jackie, Leon, their family, Sandy, were a part of our lives. And so I do want to not just welcome you on their behalf, but I want to remind us that we do feel this wide range of emotions on occasions like this. Today's going to be filled with quite a bit. We're going to gather here. You may have seen, I hope you were able to pick up just this really lovely kind of program when you came in that sort of details the schedule, and we'll spend some time this morning more formally and more intentionally feeling a sense of the weight of grief, but also the joy that comes when we remember someone. After this, there is this time to just gather together, to eat, to tell more stories for sure. And then later this afternoon, if you're able to join us, we'll be at Roselawn Cemetery as we just sort of mark sacred space where Sandy and Jack will be laid to rest. And so in the midst of all that, we feel that wide range of emotions. We will laugh and we will tear up. And I hope you know that all of those emotions are welcome here. That in those emotions, we really are articulating our appreciation for the ways in which our lives were blessed by Sandy and the way in which she added light to our world. Because when we come together for these occasions, we do so as friends and family who are wanting to say a number of things. Certainly we will hear throughout this morning, there is this affirmation that Sandy was really an angel on earth. There is such a deep gratitude for her life. And in being here, we really express our gratitude to God for that life and the way in which her life blessed this world. We also want to affirm what we believe, and that is that death is not the last word in life. And we do that while finding comfort in one another. There's something appropriate about gathering as family and friends and finding strength and finding comfort in a group of people that Sandy loves so dearly. And so as we spend this time together, there'll be in just a few moments an opportunity to just share some thoughts. But so oftentimes we can be at a loss for words when we gather for these occasions. And so we turn to other people's words, sacred writings that provide us peace and direction. The psalmist writes that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in times of trouble. Therefore we will not fear. We also read that nothing can separate us from the love that God has for us, neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor anything in all of creation can separate us from God's love. And we know that for thousands of years, people have been reminded that they are blessed when they mourn, for they are able to receive a strength and a comfort that comes in the reality of God's love for each one of us. And so let me invite you to join me as we just sort of open our hearts and our minds to this time in a word of prayer. God, we are indeed grateful not for the occasion that has brought us here this morning, but certainly for the woman whose life we remember and feel such a deep sense of gratitude for. We know, God, that you are the one who has given us birth and that you're more ready to hear than we are to pray, yet we still do pray that you would show us your grace, that as we face the mystery of death, we might see the light of eternity. We confess that too often times we can focus on the things that we wish we had done or wish we had not done. We can fixate on the things that we wish we had said or wish we had not said. And even now, we pray that you would give us a sense of your forgiveness and your mercy. Speak to us once more your message of life and of death, and hold us in the midst of all the emotions that we are experiencing this morning as we seek to celebrate and honor Sandy's life. Pray that you'd help us to live as those who are prepared to die, so that when our days are ended, you'd enable us to die as those who go forth to live, so that living or dying, our life may be found in you and your great love for us. Amen. You know, we will no doubt hear from numbers of us. There's a quote that I think sometimes is helpful when we think about how we process what it means to love someone and to lose someone. Frederick Buechner says, when you remember me, it means that you have carried something of who I am with you, that I have left some mark of who I am on who you are. It means that you can summon me back to your mind, even though many years and miles may stand between us. It means that if we meet again, you will know me. It means that even after I die, you can still see my face and hear my voice and speak to me in your heart. We certainly will speak to Sandy at times in our hearts, but we will speak with one another right now as we just offer some memories of love. And Jackie's going to start this time by just sharing some of her words and her reflections of her mom as we spend this time together.
My mom, she was the kindest person. She had such a positive attitude. She always thought of and put others before herself. She always tried to make everyone happy. She always tried to find the good in people and assumed they had the best intentions. My mom did not just say, she led by example. She showed Leon and I how to be honest, kind humans. I think her best quality, the one that I envy, is her patience. Her patience with Leon and I growing up, with the grandsons occasionally when needed, and with my dad. I think I have some of my mom's good qualities. I wish I had her patience, though. Those of you that know me know I definitely got that from my dad. My mom was so giving. She always wanted to help. Within the past month even, she was still offering to come to the classroom to help me and to help Leon file at work. Those that knew my mom knew that she was a collector. She collected Elvis memorabilia, dolphins, snow babies, lots and lots of Christmas decorations, and lots of Christmas decorations, and frogs. Well, my Uncle Bill ended up being her main frog collector, bringing different frog items to visit every time he came, and he referred to her as Sandy Frog. I will always, I'll never forget that. Thank you, Uncle Bill, for being there for my mom, Leon, and I. My mom was a little OCD. Items on her desk were always in the same spot. So occasionally I would go and just move them around, just waiting for her reaction. And she would normally notice fairly quickly and give me a smile as she's moving everything back into place. Growing up, we had a lot of great times, road trips, listening to Elvis, Kenny Rogers, and Lionel Richie, those songs you heard today. Her favorite was Sweet Caroline. That was all of our favorites. Whenever that song came on, we would just all sing so loud and sing together. And even recently, when Leon and I were sitting with my mom, we played the song, and it even just brought so much more meaning to it because it's talking about holding hands, and Leanne and I just happened to be holding her hands at the time. And I've had that song as my ringtone when my mom and my brother have called for quite a while. Leon, actually, I'm not doing you yet. My mom loved all 5 of her grandsons with all of her heart. Every second she got to spend with you guys, it was everything to her. And we have the grandsons coming up in a little bit to share some stories, or at least be up here together. Leon, thank you very much for being there for me, especially after Dad passed. And through these past 5 years, we had so many important decisions to make for Mom. Each decision was based on what we felt was best in the moment, hoping we were making the right choices. I would not have been able to make it through this without you. I started trying to get stories from my mom within the past year. I was just working on something, and one of them, I just asked her one day, what is love? And then she just started listing things, so I wrote them down, and my sons Andrew and Adam are going to come up, and Andrew's going to read my mom's poem, Love Is.
Love is being honest. Love is being faithful. Love is being kind. Love is being truthful. Love is being true to yourself and to your partner. Love should come naturally and shouldn't be forced. Love is allowing yourself and your partner space without being possessive. Love is forgiving and truly trying to forget. Love is loving.
You know, there is no doubt going to be opportunities to share stories with one another in a variety of ways. At the reception, there'll be a microphone and there'll be a time to share. But we also wanted, sort of within the context of this, certainly more somber, more reflective part of the day to remember Sandy collectively. And I know this is being live streamed, and I know that Callaghan's doesn't want me to, hates it when I do this, but we're going to just for a moment allow us to sort of collectively participate in that. And so when you think of Sandy, let's just spend some time together. What words or phrases come to mind that describe her or describe your experience of her? Goofy. What? Love. Elvis? All right, we're off to a good start. We got Goofy, Love, Elvis. Kind. Loving. This is awesome. Joyful. Funny. Feisty. Accepting. Positive. Laughter. On time. No wonder we started, Joe, we started right on time. On time.
A good friend.
A good friend. Yeah. Delightful. What are the words or phrases you think of when you think of Sandy? Right. Best mother-in-law.
Good friend.
Good friend.
She always makes my potato salad.
Someone you're glad to have known.
Yeah, someone you're glad to have known. You know, there's this wonderful thing that happens when people come together on an occasion like this. We certainly hear these words, funny, kind, loving, feisty, on time, good friend, delightful. Always make potato salad. And these are great words. And it's important to lift up these words. But the best part of these words is that the words are connected to these experiences, these memories that we have. That have those being the words that we think of when we think of her. Someone who could be goofy and could be a privilege to have been able to know her. Someone who was feisty and was loving and caring. Someone who was funny but also was delightful. And those words are great, but the moments that we have, the experiences that we have, that elicit those words are really what's so neat. And in a way that's not trying to be morbid at all, at some point all of us are going to have a room of people that are going to remember us. And I wonder how blessed we would be to know if those were the words that they thought of when they thought of us. That kindness and love and both humor and support would be the words that people would associate. We would feel so honored if those are our words. And so we feel a deep sense of joy in knowing that when we think of Sandy, those are the words that come to our mind. So we give thanks for that. Not just for the words, but for the moments that we shared with her that had those being the words that are planted in our experience. We are going to continue to allow the grandsons, I think. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Would anybody else, let's do this. We want to open it up now, and now we'll let the people that are live streaming in on the brainstorming. Anybody want to come forward and just share? Just some of your own experience, some of a story perhaps of why you thought of the word that you thought of, but your own memory of and experience of Sandy. No pressure. I will be randomly selecting someone in just a few moments. It's my personal favorite time. It's where I get to see who is not looking at me the most. Actually, come on, please. And there is no pressure. This is the one thing that's so great. Leon and Jackie both, as we talked about, look, we're not naive to the sadness that this occasion is, but there's such a gratitude for this group of people. So thank you. Come on up. I'll get that for you.
Okay, I'll try not to cry. I obviously am not prepared for this, but I would like to speak on behalf of my family, who are not here today with me, but Jack and Sandy were my aunt, Jack and Sandy, but not biologically. They were lifelong family friends. And my mom and dad moved in next door to them in a duplex in Salinas when I was a year old. Were you born yet? You were a baby, or you were born there, so your mom may have been pregnant. Now, Sandy tells a story, and I remember Sandy telling it this way, but my mom the other day maybe said it was totally differently. But I recall Sandy telling the story that she baked brownies when my mom and dad moved in, and she brought the brownies over to my mom's house, and my mom was like, oh, thanks. And like, they were in a rush to go somewhere. She took the brownies and said goodbye. And Sandy was like, oh, bye. Like, she didn't invite her in or something. But later, they did come together and maybe shared the brownies. I can't remember, but they became the best of friends. And I spent my childhood growing up driving from Salinas to California and stopping in New Mexico and Farmington and Albuquerque and spending wonderful times with Jack and Sandy. They were part of my childhood and my family. And they have many memories of her generosity, of her telling me growing up in Memphis about Elvis, and Jack too making us mix tapes with over the years, and our mother sneaking chocolate behind our backs. But anyway, Jack and Sandy mean a lot to me, and I am really sad that I wasn't able to be here a little more often, but she is kind and wonderful and giving and supportive, and she is missed.
So great. Thanks for sharing that. For the grandsons, mixed tapes are these things that you had to listen to music on. They roll. Yeah, well, anyone else that wants to just share just a memory or thought? Awesome. Come on forward. Thanks. Yeah. Trying to judge your height from a distance. I think it's going to have to be up there. Thanks so much.
So I know some of you in here. So my wife and I have been married 30 years, and we've been together for about 32, I think. And that when I met my wife, I kind of was introduced to the Gunderson family at the same time, because my wife and Leon, they were really close friends. So kind of like got this whole group at once. And so with that, I met your parents all at that same time. So I've known them for that long as well. And we used to spend a lot of weekends at the house in Santa Cruz. And the one thing I remember Sandy said, she goes, "I never seen a young group of people work so hard to party so hard." That was her thing. And you know, the thing is, like, your folks always made us feel like we're like an extension of like their kids, you know. And you know, the only thing I would say is that sometimes it's hard when things get cut short and you think like the time that is lost now, right? But to me, it's the quality of time versus the quantity. There's a lot of people in this world who have a lot of quantity with family, but it's not quality, right? And so the time you did have was with high quality. And that's how I kind of compartmentalize it in my head. So just, yeah.
Any others that want to share stories or thoughts? Please. I think it's a little lower for you.
I didn't know Sandy very well, and only briefly for about a year or so. And my father and Sandy lived at the same house in their late years. And my dad was 95 and had dementia, and he behaved badly at the house sometimes. But Sandy was there, befriended him, and it was so lovely. And I didn't really think that this would be so emotional for me, but she was so helpful and so loving to my dad. And they had a very funny relationship where they sat and they listened to music and they had conversations and they ate their meals together. And it was nice for my dad to have such a nice companion after losing my mother about a year and a half prior. My dad has passed as well, but it was just, she was so lovely. And I loved the caregivers so much too. They're just so wonderful. And I've been back to the house a number of times, and each time Sandy was out in the living room, and then she began to fail. And the last time I was there, she was in her room, and I went back, and it was so nice to see that as soon as I walked in, she recognized me. And so, you know, the good man upstairs gives us a little bit of view from them sometimes. And I think maybe one of their, or two of their things that maybe brought them together were the frogs and the OCD.
That's great.
Well played. Just leave those dangling there and then drop the mic. I love it. Any others that would want to share? These are great. So great. And so appreciated. As I said, there will be time at the gathering after this to tell more stories into a microphone or not, just to let Jackie and Leon and their family know. You know, one of the things that's probably annoying as a grandson is when someone comes up and knows you more than you know them. And a lot of us probably know them more than they know us. But it's okay to let them know that their grandma loved them and was proud of them and loved to talk about them. We're going to invite Jacob first to come up and to share a little, to speak. After that, all the grandsons will come up together and share.
A lot harder than I thought. Hello, and thank you guys for coming out. My grandma's one of the she's one of the most nicest and sweetest people I've ever met. She's a big part of my childhood. Everyone who knows her knows that she was always light up the room with her smile. She was the most positive person in the world, no matter what was going on. She made every holiday, every Super Bowl, and every visit feel special. When she was staying with us, I would love sitting down with her and listening to the stories that she would tell. I'm going to miss that the most. I lost where I was at. Hold on. What I love most about her was that every time I got to spend time with her, you could feel her love. She taught me to be kind to everyone, and to be polite, and to always live life with a smile and a positive mindset. Growing up, on every birthday and every Christmas, I would be more excited for her cards than the actual gift. I kept every card that she ever gave me. Because every time I read them, I can still feel Grandma's love. My favorite gift that she ever gave me was a Christmas book. The book is an audiobook, and she would be the one reading it to me, with Grandpa pretending to be Santa Claus in the background. That is the best gift that I have ever received, because now I can still listen to her tell me stories forever. And Dad, she loved you very much. She would tell me that every day. She's very proud of you and the man and the father that you have become. And Jackie, she also loved you very much. She is proud of the mother that you have become. And Mom, she also loved you very much. She appreciated everything that you have done for her and this family. She will always have a special place in her heart for Duke, our dog. Is the poem where I call everyone up?
I think we're going to invite your...
All right.
Let's have, I think the grandsons are going to be up together for this part.
No, I'm gonna read those, yeah.
And then someone's got the letter.
Wait,
the letter too?
Yeah, the letter's right there, yeah. We found a poem that we like to read from us. Grandma will carry your lessons the way you carried us, with patience, with softness, with more strength than people see. We'll grow the way you hoped we would, kind-hearted, brave, and strong. When we feel we can't go on, we'll hear you say, "Go on." We weren't ready to lose you, but we'll honor you each day. Grandma, we promise you this. We'll be okay. And this is a letter from us to you. Dear Grandma, I want to thank you for all the love, laughter, and memories you gave us. We will never forget the weekends spent at you and Grandpa's house. Sleepovers full of stories, laughter, and the fun chaos of wrestling on air mattresses. Our dinners at Golden Corral restaurant were always so special. Not just because of the limited desserts that we ate, but because of the time we all got to spend together. And of course, your Eggo waffles, breakfast, cut into tiny strips for dipping, simple, sweet, delicious, and made with Grandma's love, will always stay in our hearts. You made every moment special. Your home was always a place of comfort, fun, and unconditional love. We will miss your hugs, your laughter, and your warmth, but we carry your love and all these memories with us forever. Thank you for being our grandma, our protector, and our angel here on earth. Love your grandsons.
I think that's everything. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We'll just sort of pause in the beauty of these moments, right, where you get to see and experience something that transcends just the words that are spoken. And we do want to at least continue that gratitude that her grandsons have articulated so well, as we do direct it towards some individuals who we just want to acknowledge in the midst of the whole life, but we recognize that the last season of life can so oftentimes be particularly challenging, as you experienced, no doubt, with your father, as he was in the same care facility that Sandy was. And certainly Jackie and Leon want to thank Elia for just so much care and love and attention that since Jack's passing in 2021, Sandy moved in, as I think most may know, with Leon and his family. And during that time, Elia was the one who was on the front lines with Sandy and cared for her 24/7. All Sandy ever wanted was to be with her family. And because of you, she was able to do that for 2 years before moving into the assisted living facility. Elia and Sandy became more than just mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Though I know you said the best mother-in-law, clearly it was more than just the best mother-in-law and the friendship that they formed. They were besties, and Sandy loved her very much. And so Jackie and Leon both want to make sure that today they just acknowledge with gratitude you, Elia, for the love that you demonstrated and everything you did and sacrificed. They love you very much. And since you spoke about the facility, there also is this gratitude that Leon and Jackie have for a special thank you to Arnold and Debbie, the owners of New Haven Care Home, and the entire staff for all the love and care that you gave their mom. Jen, Nell, Eric were so kind to Sandy, and she loved you all very much. And so just a deep appreciation and just an acknowledgement of gratitude, all that you all did. You know, it's so oftentimes not lost on me that we gather for these occasions, and we feel this depth of emotion, right? We feel this what can almost be a gut-wrenching sadness as we revisit grief and continue to process loss. We can feel this overwhelming beauty of a grandson and then 5 grandsons that collectively articulate something, and how, no doubt, many of what you all saw were once boys all of a sudden are so clearly men right before our eyes. And then we feel gratitude for the imprint and the fingerprints of Sandy and how she played a part in that. No doubt, when we come together for these occasions, we do feel these wide range of emotions. We laugh and smile at the thought of Eggo waffle strips being dipped as a treat on breakfast mornings. We have our own memories of gratitude. We feel a deep sense of sadness. We can perhaps even feel a sense of relief that the challenges that Sandy was living with are no longer her challenges. That what limited her in body no longer limits her anymore. And so oftentimes when we come to these occasions, we can find ourselves asking questions, and I hope it will come as no surprise to you, maybe even a bit of a relief to you, that I have absolutely no desire to stand up here and answer the questions that we ask at times like this. I have no interest in being some guy in a suit that tries to make sense of how sometimes in life we just have to accept that not everything makes sense, that we don't always have the answers that we want to the circumstances that life presents us. And honestly, I don't think any of us are here because we hope someone's going to stand up and provide answers. I think we're here because we want to certainly find comfort and strength in the hope that life is what follows life. And we're here because we want to articulate our gratitude for a particular life, and that is Sandy Gunderson's life, and the ways in which we were blessed by her in a wide variety of ways. And so I'm not going to try to smooth over the emotions that we feel or the questions that we ask with trite words or religious platitudes that seek to rationalize or minimize things. I'm not going to fit everything into some nice, small, convenient plan as though we can be satisfied with that, because so oftentimes the complexities of life are not satisfied with the simplistic responses that we too oftentimes are told. But what I can do is what we are doing, and that is be someone who facilitates this time and space where we choose to say something about Sandy and we choose to say something about God, and what we say about Sandy is what we have collectively been saying about Sandy, and that is her life made a difference in our lives. The words that we share, the stories that we tell speak of a woman whose life made a difference in our lives. She was sweet and compassionate and patient, maybe a tad OCD. She loved many things, as we've heard. She loved Elvis. She loved chocolate. She loved making breakfast for her grandsons. She had a heart for helping kids. She was really someone who was ahead of her time, a pioneer in so many ways as we think about the homework club and the after-school program that she helped create and facilitate long before those became almost an expected part of child development. She thoroughly enjoyed being a taxi for her kids when they were so involved growing up. She thoroughly enjoyed being involved in the life of her family. She loved people. And probably she loved no people more than she loved this group of people. She would have loved this group of people, and within this group, she did have her favorites. And they were the ones that sit in these front rows, because there was nothing that meant more to her than her family. She found such joy, such pride in spending time with and being involved in her family. And with that, we know that we've heard Jack mentioned 55 years of marriage, the life they lived together. She was so blessed and grateful for that life. And we know that she was curious. She was someone who embraced the mystery and the beauty of life and found comfort in prayer, believed in God. She's kind of my kind of person because she believed that stuff, we'll say something about this in a moment, was best expressed in actions, not something to be debated. Certainly by gathering here, what we say about her is that there's so much in her that was good and kind that we appreciated. And what we say by gathering here is we try to find a hope in the reality that death doesn't get the last word in life. I just want to read something quickly that speaks, I think, to how Sandy really did live her life. It comes from a writing where people are trying to understand how do we experience life in all of its fullness. And in this particular letter, we read, if there's any encouragement, any consolation from love, any sharing in the Spirit, any compassion and sympathy, make my joy complete. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. Let each of you look not to your own interests, but to the interests of others, so that you might be blameless and innocent, children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a community in which you shine like stars in the world. Sandy's life shined like a star in this world. She understood that the fullness and the beauty of life really is found in the selfless looking towards the interests of and loving others. She was someone who was selfless, volunteered in almost every aspect of life to make a difference. At school, growing up with Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts, she was someone whose action was one of involvement in the lives of the people that she loved. She loved her people and was always looking and willing to look to their interests. Both Jackie and Leon, as they think about their mom, spoke about their not being able to remember a single time, where she didn't support them. Her actions really were what shined brightly in a world that too often times is filled with darkness. And we hear it in the collective memories that we share about someone who was actually an angel on earth. She really was that sort of just purely beautiful, divine, loving presence on earth. And her actions were what was her response to the gift of life that God had given her. And we all understand that towards the end of her life, perhaps hers, your dad's, many people that we know, memory can sometimes slip, names slip, details slip. But we gather today finding strength and peace in a God who remembers us, whose memory for us never slips, right? Whose grace and love remember and prepare a place for us. And somehow in her death, our confidence is that God who remembers us has welcomed Sandy home into the reality and the ongoing activity of love. And certainly as we grieve the reality that Sandy is no longer with us, our hope and our belief is that somehow death is not the end, that inherent to the mystery that is death is this confidence that Sandy has passed from life into life. And please do not hear what I am not saying. The truth is, we would much rather she be here. Truth is, we would much rather spend more time with her. But the truth also is, if we can't spend time with her, there's no other place we'd rather entrust her to than in the loving arms of God. So we gather here, we go forth from here with the hope and the confidence that Sandy has been welcomed home into the reality of God's love, and in that we find strength, and through that we find peace. Amen. Let's pray. God, we continue to be grateful for this time, and in this time we continue to be grateful for Sandy's life. We know that generations come and go, and we praise you for all of your servants who, having lived this life in faith, now live eternally with you. But today we really are pausing to in particular express our gratitude for your child, Sandy Gunderson. We praise you for the gift of her life, for all in her that was good and kind and faithful, for the way in which she loved her family, the way in which she shined light into this world, for the ways in which she was a source of hope and patience and healing in our lives. We thank you, God, that for her death is past and that pain is ended and that she has entered into the joy that you have prepared and that she's been welcomed home into the reality of your great love. And so strengthen us and encourage us and help us find peace and healing through that promise. Amen. Just a couple of notes. I do want to say, once again, I'm sure Leon and Jackie will say this multiple times individually to people and just feel this throughout the day, but they really do have such gratitude and appreciate so much your being here with them and your support, your love, your prayers, the way you have come alongside them, not just today, but in this season and really in their lives. And they hope that you are going to be able to stick around after we finish here. There is just a lovely gathering with more pictures than I've ever seen set up in Callaghan's little reception room over there to just spend time together, to tell stories with one another, and to continue to experience the connection of what it means to be a community of family and friends whose lives were impacted by Sandy. We'll gather there for a period of time, and as you perhaps have seen there, then in a couple of hours, we'll begin to make our way over to Roselawn Cemetery, which is here in Livermore, and we'll gather there at Roselawn where the casket and Jack's remains will be just lowered into the place where they will be and mark that as sacred space. And so we'll plan on leaving here right around 2 o'clock. For those who are able to be a part of that, or those who want to join us at Roselawn in Livermore, at 2:30, we'll be gathering for that graveside service. Before we end here, I will just say one more expression of gratitude, and that's on behalf of Callaghan's. It has been their deep honor to be a part of this, to not just provide the space to gather, but to come alongside your family. I hear it occasionally, but maybe not as quickly as I heard it this morning when I walked in, and the staff at Callaghan's just said what a joy and a privilege it's been to get to know you and your family. They just feel such a privilege to be a part of this with you all, and so Callaghan's is grateful for their ability to play a part in our gathering here today. But before we end this time formally and we begin to make our way into that reception, certainly we know that Sandy's not in this body any longer, but it is here as a way for us to experience some closure. the casket, Sandy will stay here for a bit while we gather. If you want to have a moment of prayer or you want to say your own goodbye, you're welcome to do that. If you don't, we're going to make our way into the reception room to sort of gather and spend time with one another. But before we do that, let me just commend Sandy into God's hands. Into your hands, O merciful God, we commend your servant, Sandra Sandy Gunderson. Acknowledge, we humbly pray, a sheep of your own fold, a lamb of your own flock, a child of your own redeeming. Receive her into your arms of mercy, into the blessed rest of everlasting peace, into the glorious company of the saints in light, and into the eternal reality of your great love. And may that great love that God has for each one of us strengthen us and sustain us as we go forth from here. Amen. God bless you, and you're invited to join the family as we make our way over to that reception.